Hello everybody. I'm Ray and I'm here to show you how to alchemize your stress. You might ask yourself, what does that mean? And it's a good question, but I'm here to tell you all about that. Now, if you're somebody who experiences or lives with chronic stress, then my heart goes out to you, because I lived with chronic stress for most of my life. Well into my 40s. I used to wake up in the morning anxious, and I used to go to bed in the evening anxious. And during the day, in between getting up and going to bed, I felt anxious too. And I would literally just try and get through the day. I would try and cope with whatever I was experiencing in life at the time. And often, if I go back 20 years, when I was working in an office as a successful consultant, I used to look around and wonder what I was doing wrong. I was thinking, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Why can't I be like... And then there were other people who seemed to be having no problem with life whatsoever, and were not nervous, and were not struggling, and seemed to be enjoying their work, even though it was a very busy, stressful job. And I had this ability to hide what I was feeling and internalize all the stress and the anxiety and the worry and the self-doubt and the overthinking. I didn't show that on the outside. In fact, I think I could look quite calm and collected, but inside it was a completely different story. And it meant that although I was successful in my job for quite some years, I didn't enjoy it. There was no joy in the achievement, in the success that I was experiencing. None whatsoever. And I worked harder and harder at the time to try and get to a place where I would feel happy with the success that I had. To work harder every day, thinking I'll get through all this stuff I need to do, I must do, in order to feel appreciated and worthy, and I'd get to the end of the day and then I'll relax. And then later on, when I became a mum and my two young kids, I had the same experience. I'd look at all the other mums playing with their kids and chatting together freely, and I would feel, again, what's wrong with me? Why can't I relax and enjoy my kids? And I was in such a state of hypervigilance and anxiety and exhaustion, and also started suffering from some really quite debilitating health problems when my kids were young. And yes, I'd look around and think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just chill out? Why can't I hold it together? Why do I feel so overwhelmed? Why do I feel so anxious? Why can't I enjoy my kids? I was so desperate to enjoy that time with my kids. And I tried harder. That was my go-to, to try harder, to work harder. And at that time, I even started to understand that I was in fact stressed. I didn't realize that I'd been stressed since childhood. Since the moment I was born into stress. I didn't realize that the stress I was experiencing wasn't my fault. And of course, without that awareness, I used to blame myself or think there must be something I'm missing, or there's something I'm not doing right, or there's something I'm doing wrong. And so I would try harder. I was very committed to the diets, cutting out everything that was harmful: sugar, alcohol, caffeine, dairy. I ate an everything-free diet for at least 2 years, but it didn't change the way I felt, and it didn't really help the health problems that I was experiencing at the time. It wasn't until I started to join the dots, to understand that the chronic fatigue, the autoimmune diseases that I was suffering from, the allergies, the inflammation, the digestive problems, and the anxiety, the overwhelming anxiety, and the overwhelming fatigue trying to look after two children, that I started to join the dots and to understand that what I was experiencing was chronic stress. It wasn't just a case of something that I was doing wrong in terms of my diet, in terms of anything. Now, you might have tried to do so many things like me to manage your stress, to become more resilient. There's the word, resilient to stress, stronger. You may have tried yoga, meditation, mindfulness. I've tried all of these things. I even became a yoga teacher. I coached mindfulness, and none of it really seemed to help. It helped me feel calmer in the moment, and it did help me balance my nervous system. But it was the understanding of what stress was really doing and where it came from. That it wasn't my life at the time, it came from somewhere much earlier, experiences that happened much earlier in life. And there was the origin. That's what I call the origin of stress. And the other thing I realized, which is really powerful, is that stress has the effect of disconnecting us. It disconnects us from who we are. Okay? It disconnects us from being present and enjoying who we are. And it disconnects us in every way. It disconnects us from what we're feeling, because stress is so uncomfortable in the body. We don't want to feel, but it's essential that we are present in that way if we want to experience everything that we are and can be, and to really reconnect to our well-being, our health, our joy, our creativity, the essence of who each of us is. Okay, it's in that connection. So the first thing we need to do in order to really heal stress, and when I say heal, I mean alchemize, I mean transform it for good. And that's what I've learned to do. I'm no longer stressed, and I feel incredibly healthy and calm most of the time. The first thing I'd share with you is the importance of reconnecting, okay? And when I'm working with people in the Alchemy of Stress, which is my 6-week course, the first thing I show people is how to reconnect and what that means, because it's not just an idea. And we tend to live from a space of the mind and our ideas and our thoughts, and it's shifting that too. So if you're interested, I've put a free meditation in the description box, and that's all about how we reconnect and how we respond and alchemize stress in the moment when we've been triggered and there's overwhelm and there's that feeling of discomfort that we want to get away from, and it really prevents us from living well and feeling well in ourselves. Okay, so if you're interested and this resonates in some way, then I'd go and check out that free meditation. Okay, you can sign up for free, you can access this meditation for free. And then if you're interested in learning how to reconnect, how to explore the origin of the stress that you're experiencing, and knowing that it's not your fault, this is something that happened early on in life and it's become part of your habit of being. It's become your normal, but it doesn't have to be forever. Okay, you can learn to alchemize your stress, and I lead you through in a very natural, intuitive way. And again, it's going to help you reconnect with your own intuition, and it's designed to empower you, to give you the skills so that you can do this on your own, that it becomes a new way of being really connected to who you are, and to know that you can change your experience and you can transform, you can alchemize the stress that you may have experienced for years. And as you do that, without having to force anything, your health, your physical health is going to rebalance. Your emotional state will be less reactive, And you'll be able to work with your emotions, okay, rather than feeling overwhelmed by emotions and triggers and anxiety and self-doubt. And you'll be able to see the patterns in your thoughts, your beliefs, and how everything is connected. Okay, and there's nothing to force. This is all about reconnecting. And from that space, the magic happens. Okay, so let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. Share your story. Okay, we have our own personal story of stress. It's a very unique story. There's no one story that's the same, and this is also important, understanding your story and that your experience is very unique, just as you are unique. And it's all about getting back to that uniqueness so you can live from that space of authenticity, of joy, joyful expression, creativity, of exploring what is available to you in life rather than just having to cope and make do and get through. Okay, there is a shift there available to you, as it has been for me. So I invite you to explore this meditation and then have a look around the app. When you're in there, you can see what's available, the alchemy of stress and other short courses, which are all designed to bring you back to who you are at your core, your truth, because this is who you are. You are not your stress. You are not naturally meant to be a stressed out person who can't cope or feels that there's something wrong with them. The truth of who you are, the truth of who each of us is that we are in our natural state, calm, peaceful, joyful, happy, curious, expressive, and creative. So if this resonates, then let me know, share, like, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next post.